everyone. It's Chris and Ginger here from Empowered Body Club. And today we have our health warrior here, the beautiful Sam, and she is going to share her health story and her health journey today. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you.
So, Sam, you came into our program after your mom had referred you over, and you have now just completed the program. We would love to ask you a couple of questions about your health journey. So overall, in regards to your improvement, what would you say that was?
My mom convinced me to join after she said she was feeling 70% better. And I also say that I'm feeling 70% better overall. So pretty good improvement. Definitely worth driving me over here for.
Awesome.
Right. That's huge. I mean, 70% is really nothing to balk at. I mean, that's, we say it like even when you get to like 50%, it's oftentimes, life changing. It sets you on a totally different course. Let's talk kind of specifically about pain. Can you kind of tell us like overall how the pains have improved?
Yeah, so the pain in general, it used to be just full body, including really recently before I had joined the program, I was getting just all day, every day migraines through the night, which was also a new thing for me. And things just kind of kept piling up on top of each other and nothing was kind of going away and getting addressed. So it all became very overwhelming. I used to have really bad pain in my legs and feet, and it would kind of keep me up at night. Really bad back pain, hand pain would kind of make it harder for just mobility's sake in general. And I used to not even be able to like make it around the block sometimes if I wanted to take a walk. It's definitely rewarding to see that I can kind of like even just do housework like vacuuming, and I don't have to like take a whole day off afterwards. I can actually like continue about my life. And it's just kind of basic little tasks like that that have kind of had me notice how much I've improved over the past few months. Generally, I would say 70% better also in terms of pain. It's less often, but when it does come, it kind of reminds me that it hasn't been there. So that's also really nice to see.
That's really, really huge. I mean, you kind of almost make it sound like a crazy work schedule where like work just keeps piling up, and then pretty soon you don't know where you are. You're just immersed in it. But, I guess that's part of the program is sort of like starting to compartmentalize everything and starting to kind of shrink things back to say like, okay, it was everywhere. Now it's like, okay, now we need to pick on that or that or that. So really, really amazing.
And we love hearing about your progress, Sam, because so many fiber warriors, they have been to so many doctors and yet they haven't seen the results and they're actually getting worse. And I know that your health trajectory, you were getting worse as well over time, and especially the migraines. I think they came a little bit later and they were worsening and worsening. And so your mom was nudging you and you finally said yes because you were at that breaking point.
Right.
And so tell me a little bit about what made you actually decide to join the program.
Right. I was definitely at a breaking point, and that is what drove me. I had plenty of opportunities before to join from my mom. She kept telling me how great it was going. And I was like, I don't want to change my life, like, eating and doing certain things, and has brought me the only joy that I've had through all this pain for so long that I wasn't ready to give that up. But then I did reach a breaking point when I scheduled a doctor's appointment. And every time I go to the doctor, I have my list. I call it my doctor list, and I write a list of everything I need addressed. And my doctor is great, and she goes through everything with me, but nothing at the end of the day really happens because Western medicine isn't really equipped to handle. They say that we don't have a lot of information and stuff like that. So sometimes I feel like they're a bit at a loss. They don't know how to help us in the long run. And I had plenty of medications I had been on. It helped in the beginning, but after a while, I could tell that it was really like fogging my brain and I couldn't function. And it was really hard to convince the doctor to let me off some of them. And then when I did, I felt better. And so I had so much suspense up to this doctor's appointment that I was just panicking about it because I knew that I was going to leave empty-handed, even if she's such a great listener. And even, if she does go through everything with me, that I just knew that there was nothing that could be done. And I just kind of felt like I'm out of options. I have no other options here. And I felt like a very bleak future at that breaking point, I realized like I'm ready to change things. I'm ready to do whatever I need to do because this is not this is not a good trajectory to be going in. And I definitely just saw a really like not much of a future for me if I couldn't do anything. You know, I can't walk around the block. I had to sit down all day. I couldn't function. I did reach a breaking point. So I think that that was kind of like the important part for me was that I was ready to do it because I think that if I hadn't reached that point, I don't think I could have done the program like as hard as I did. So yeah, and like reach the success that I think I reached without that kind of motivating me.
You know, that kind of speaks to something that I was kind of hoping to ask you a little bit about. Because I know doctors get ragged on a little bit, but the truth is, I mean, most of them are very intelligent. They're very, very well-meaning, but the truth is, many of them are not quite equipped. You saw through this program, and we're meeting with you every single week. With me, with Ginger, we're going over pains, we're going over nutrition, we're going over all kinds of things, and it wasn't just that we were giving you that time; it's that you were actually taking steps. You were putting forth the effort, and like even outside the program, you've got a whole lot of tools that you now have at your disposal to perpetuate that. I mean, can you speak to that at all?
Yes, actually, this is something that I did want to say to you guys is that this program has made me feel like my healthcare is more accessible to me, where if I'm feeling a certain way, I know that I can personally do something about it instead of, waiting to go to the doctor or messaging my doctor and trying to figure something out. If I know like, oh, like I have a headache today, I can ask myself, how are you sleeping? Like, what are you eating? What can you do about this? Are you warm? I think the knowledge that you guys have given me about like Chinese medicine and even just like nutrition and basic things, I think have kind of brought my healthcare in my own hands in a way where, obviously if I break my arm, like I'm go to the hospital, but like for just long-term self-care, I think it's so important to know all of these things that you can do if you are feeling a certain way and just having different tools that are equipped. And so I definitely would say I feel better equipped to kind of move forward and know what to do um, to take care of myself and to like keep improving or, if something does go awry, like I have tools that I can use to help with that. So that's really helpful.
Yes, and that was really our goal to empower you with those tools in the pillars of health. You may not be able to improve your genes, right? But you can improve your nutrition, you can improve your sleep, you can improve your mindset, your lifestyle, your movement, your exercise, and so on. And those are really the health pillars that can move you in a better direction. The thing about the medical doctors, yes, they're using the same playbook. And they are super, super gifted and a blessing when it comes to trauma care. When it comes to chronic condition care, that is a different ballgame. Another doctor with the same playbook is not going to potentially give you that outcome that you're actually looking for. So how many medical practitioners and specialists and alternative care practitioners have you visited in total?
So I've been to quite a few different kinds of people for all sorts of things and been diagnosed with so many different things. So I don't know if I could tell you like a distinct number, but I could definitely say like over 10 practitioners. And I'm 24. So like that's, I'm pretty young to have gone through all of that by now. But doing all of that, I've definitely learned like to advocate for myself in a healthcare setting. And that's why I bring my doctor list every time I go is that I don't want to leave here without everything that I came here for being addressed. Dealing with a doctor that's just not listening to you, just change your doctor because I've had so many experiences with doctors who didn't even want to help me. They didn't even want to listen to what I had to say. You just have to move on from them. You can't make those people work. Those people will never work for you. I'm really grateful to have found a doctor that has kind of supported me through this program. She's ordered kind of my blood work that I've been doing and checking in with me every few weeks. And so it's been really nice to like have her and tell her, here's everything that I've been doing and you can help your other patients. And she's actually like trying to actively learn and actively keep up with these kinds of things in the field. So it's been refreshing to have her. I would encourage everyone to continue going to your regular doctor, but also to have a balance between what you can do in your regular life and then what you have to do with the doctor.
Awesome. So I would love to ask you about your chronic fatigue. I know your chronic fatigue was really bad initially. It was a 9 out of 10. And it was also the stress and the pain that really aggravated your chronic pain even more. So where are you at this point?
So I've definitely improved in terms of chronic fatigue. I would say 75, 80% improvement there. For me, the hardest thing I think was falling asleep. It used to take me hours to just fall asleep, and it would be like the lightest sleep ever. And I've definitely seen improvement there where maybe my sleep schedule could still use some improvement, but I'm falling asleep, within like a half hour, which is like excellent for me. So I definitely think that that has improved quite a bit. I've noticed that I have a little bit more energy during the day. Every once in a while, I do feel kind of fatigued, but it is such a difference in being able to stay up all day and not feel like I'm just gonna like nod off at any second, or just any little thing I do could just like make me done for the day. So that's kind of over now, for the most part. And even when it does come back, it just kind of reminds me of how it has been absent for so long. So it kind of reminds me of how far I've come as well.
Amazing. And so a lot of people believe that there's nothing about their insomnia that they can do. I know that part of the improvement obviously came from the different therapies that we did, from the herbs and the soaks and the gastrotransmitters and so on. But what is it that you shifted in your own habits to be able to sustain and support your sleep schedule and your sleep habits?
Yeah, so I definitely have been making an effort to go to bed a little earlier. I definitely was a person that stayed up 3 a.m. and past. So I have been consciously trying to sleep earlier. So I try to go now more about 11. And then once I can get 11 p.m. down, then I'm going to try and go for 10 p.m. So I think that doing that has improved my sleep a lot, and just having like a regular schedule of when I should be sleeping. And I haven't been perfect about it, but I still have seen quite a bit of improvement. I've also been taking kind of the vitamins that you recommended and doing that blood work with my doctor to make sure that those are going to be in the right place as well. So that's been really useful to see that those things can affect your sleep and your sleep schedule. So I like to think that those also have really improved the speed at which I fall asleep. I do also take a little bit of melatonin every day. Back in the day in like high school, I used to have to take like 10 milligrams of melatonin because I had worked my way up there. Now I just take 2.5 milligrams a night. And that just kind of gives me some reassurance that I'm going to fall asleep a little faster too. But I don't take it every night. But on nights where I know that I need to fall asleep, I will take the melatonin. There was a point before this program where I was taking like Unisom to fall asleep, to just because I had to force myself to fall asleep because I couldn't. And I was having those terrible migraines every day. And those were also keeping me from sleeping. I had to take sleeping medicine to force myself to sleep. And then that kind of sometimes would make my headaches worse. I definitely think that doing this program has been a blessing in that sense, because I think I was kind of in a downward spiral taking Unisom to fall asleep and then waking up with a migraine every day. So that's definitely improved a lot.
I would love to circle back on the migraines a little bit. We have a lot of patients who come to us because of just the headaches and the migraines. And I would love to hear where you were at the beginning and how your headaches and migraines have shifted.
Sure. So the migraines for me were something that what took me to my breaking point, because I didn't really have headaches that much before. I didn't really have migraines that often before. And then a few weeks before I joined this program, I just started getting them every single day, all day long. And I could not function. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even think because it hurt to think. So that kind of brought me to my breaking point as well, because I was like, well, it's one thing if I like can't use my hands today, but it's another thing if I can't even think today because my brain hurts. So I just kind of felt like that was the last thing that I needed to be taken away from me for me to kind of lose. So I was definitely having a really bad experience with that. And because the rest of my body was in such a bad state, it really like got into my head of just how depressing it was that I can't even think now. And my body doesn't work either. And I don't see an end to this. And I don't see any improvement happening. You know, I've been to the doctor and, you know, had a new appointment coming up with the doctor to like address this, but I just didn't think that anything they could do would help me, especially in the long run. So I kind of, that realization is kind of what really drove me to the program and really gave me my conviction to actually change my lifestyle. So I think the headaches were just really debilitating overall on top of everything. And that is kind of what toppled over my life for me to change. So
Yeah, what I love about you is your curiosity and your being a health advocate for yourself. You always come prepared to the sessions. You always have your notes of the different questions, and you actually ask the questions and then you go implement whatever it is that you need to implement. So you've been an amazing patient. In regards to the digestive system, have you felt a shift in that department?
yeah, I definitely have felt a shift in different ways. So before I kind of just used to eat and I didn't pay attention to how I was feeling, I guess, after I eat. So now I can kind of tell like when I eat what is doing me good and what's not doing me good. And I think that it's just been like sometimes it's been more comfortable, but I think sometimes I've enjoyed the feeling of being a bit uncomfortable because I now can kind of sense and intuitively like what did I eat today that made me feel uncomfortable. And I think it's kind of helped me be able to kind of know what to put in my body and what it can help me in certain situations and not. So I think I've just kind of become more aware of like my digestive system working. I think that overall it's been interesting to see like to feel the changes, especially when with potatoes, when you do the potato hack. I definitely felt changes doing that. The first week or two that I was on this program, I think that was kind of like my biggest digestive shift that I had. But overall, like I think my digestion has improved, and I think I've kind of noticed the different processes that different foods go through in my system now, like how long it takes to digest fruit. Like you said, it takes not very long to digest fruit versus like proteins or something. So I've kind of enjoyed observing that process too and seeing how different foods react in my digestive system.
Yeah, wonderful. You know, some of our potential patients and my friends who want to work with me, they're afraid about what I'm going to say about their nutrition and how I'm going to restrict their diet. And for me, it's really giving back freedom to my patients. And what was your experience like working with me and Chris on your nutrition? Do you find it restrictive? Do you find that it gives you more freedom? What is your overall take on that?
I definitely was afraid. I was afraid also in the beginning. I thought you were going to cut out all carbs and cut out, all sorts of things that like the diet industry tells you is bad. So I was really pleasantly surprised to learn that I can have rice and potatoes and oatmeal. And those are all the things that I think were my saving graces in this program because those are the things that kept me full. I don't think that I was too restricted. I was very nervous in the beginning about, you can't have this, you can't have that. I think the hardest thing for me to not eat in the beginning in the elimination diet was like eggs or soy products, but it was definitely doable. And, I realized that I have not felt hungry this whole time. I've not gone hungry one time because I've done dieting before and you're always hungry and you're always wanting food and you're always craving food. And, there are times here and there where I did crave foods. And we kind of talked about it where I didn't want to like ruin my relationship with food because I was craving chocolate covered pretzels. So I had a handful of chocolate covered pretzels and I was okay because of all these other things that I've been doing to help my digestion. So I think in a way that if eating this way and eating more whole foods and stuff is a way to kind of equip you to eat the foods you love without hurting yourself. And that's kind of how I see it, where it's like, 80-90% of the time, you should be eating your whole foods. You should be eating, all the good stuff that you're supposed to eat, all the natural things from the earth. But then, if you want to have like, yesterday I had shrimp tempura and I was fine because the rest of the day and the rest of the week I've been doing well. And so I kind of realized that I didn't really have to give up the things I loved. I could still have all these foods that I love. But now, by doing these things the majority of the time, I can equip myself to actually be able to handle them and to not hurt myself further by eating them. So it kind of helps me to think that way because the diet industry has kind of ruined my relationship with food a lot. So kind of knowing that, I could have potatoes, knowing I can have rice, and knowing I have oatmeal, and I can still, I lost probably over 20 pounds. And I didn't focus on my weight during all of this because I knew that that was something that was going to be kind of a toxic thing for me to do. So I didn't focus on my weight, and I ate until I was full, until I was more than full sometimes. And I still did that. So it's kind of given me a little bit of peace of mind and made me not focus so much on my weight in terms of my health, because I told myself that if I eat what I'm, told to eat right now, then that's going to happen on its own if that is what is healthy for me. So I kind of focused more on the health aspect of it than the weight aspect. So I think that the eating didn't feel restrictive to me at all. I felt very full. I like eating oatmeal every day. I like eating rice, and I like putting everything together. Even the food combinations was a very interesting thing for me. If I want to have chicken, like I can't have potatoes with chicken, I had to have more like green vegetables. And in the beginning, I was kind of like put off by that. But now I feel like if I had chicken, like potatoes would be way too starchy or too heavy to have with it, or, so it's almost kind of like become a natural feeling now to eat food this way, which is really nice because I was very nervous in the beginning that it was going to be difficult for me, but it definitely turned out better, and I can still enjoy things that I enjoyed before. It's just I have to pay attention to the rest of the day. So I have to make sure that, is it going to hurt my body if I eat this? And I'm like, no, like I had oatmeal today. I'm doing good so far. So I can have like shrimp tempura later and I'll be fine. And I'm fine. I'm here today. I had shrimp tempura and nothing happened to me. So it's going to be okay.
Amazing, Sam. So let me see if I got this right. You're actually enjoying your food now. You have more balance. You have a better relationship with food. You're actually eating carbs, which you enjoy, and you lost 20 pounds.
Mhm.
That's like a mini dream come true for many people.
Yeah, I didn't know that before. And I feel like in this program, everything was kind of right there in front of you, but you just didn't see it. I kind of felt like that the whole time, where I was like, of course it's like this. Of course this is like that. But then, you don't see it until you just kind of lift up the curtain. So I think like this program has kind of done that, of lifting up the curtain onto kind of things that are right in front of you and some things that are common sense. It all makes so much sense, but it's something that you never would have thought of before, especially, being in such like a Western medical setting. It's just not something that they talk about there. So when you guys talked about it, I felt like, oh my gosh, how did I not notice this before? Of course, this makes sense that, I have vitamin deficiency, even though I have high levels of iron in my blood. I have really low absorption, and I didn't put it together that maybe I needed to improve my digestion and I needed to improve my circulation in order for that to get fixed. I just thought, okay, I guess they're going to up my dose of iron and I'm just going to keep going through the cycle. So it's just nice to be able to actually have knowledge of what's happening when I do stuff, what's happening when I eat potatoes, and what is it doing for me. You said I'm very curious, which is true. I like to know why I'm doing what I do because I like to observe and like gather data for my brain to kind of see what's being successful, what can I invest more time in or effort in. So it's very important for me to be able to have that information of why am I doing this? What is this doing for me? Like if I exert this effort, because before it takes a lot of energy for me. I've always kind of been very aware of what I put my energy into, even if it is just intellectual energy. So I really like to know why I'm here, why I'm doing this, why am I eating this oatmeal, why am I not eating eggs right now? Or, so I really valued kind of having that knowledge, and also that helps me be able to tell other people what I'm doing and tell them, I'm doing this chronic pain program and especially at Trader Joe's, when you go and you buy 20 pounds of potatoes at a time, they always ask you, why are you buying all these potatoes? So I have to be able to tell them, why I'm buying potatoes and why potatoes are good for me. So it's definitely something that I value having, because I'd like to share this success with other people. The knowledge is something really, really important to me.
There are so many marketing messages today, and the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and the medical industry kind of have things a bit backwards. So there's so many nutritional trends that go low carb, that go keto. And, if you're really, really looking at the research and you plow through it thoroughly, not just on a superficial level, you actually find that we humans do very, very well on carbs. And these nutritional trends are really, really just trends of modern times. And that traditionally, and in the blue zones, people don't really, really eat like we do today in the modern diet, right? Awesome. So, in terms of your lifestyle, in terms of your outlook in life, in terms of your kind of overall feeling about your health, where are you at? Are you breathing a little bit easier? Are you sitting a little bit taller? How are you doing, Sam?
Yeah, I am doing better. Before the program, I mentioned that the future was looking pretty bleak and pretty sad. And I had all these things I wanted to do, and I didn't know if I would be able to do them. Like, I want to move abroad, and I want to be able to like climb mountains or hike or something, or even just walk around new places. And I wasn't sure if I could even do that. The smallest things took so much effort to do that I wasn't sure if I would be healthy enough to be able to withstand such like a big change in my life. So I was feeling pretty down in the beginning about not being sure if I could turn it around by the time I wanted to leave. And that was part of like why my one doctor's appointment I had scheduled was such a heavy thing for me, because a lot was riding on if I could have success at this appointment. I know that there's a lot of kind of like gimmicky stuff that comes from the diet industry, and that was almost why I wasn't sure I wanted to do this program, because I thought my mom's just trying something else. She did like a raw food cleanse and she got sick from doing that. So I was just nervous that, this was going to be something kind of like that again. And I didn't want to try something again and then fail again and just kind of go back into the cycle. I just felt like there was no options anymore. So when she told me that she was feeling 70% better, and even my dad was calling me and being like, your mom she's doing so good. I've never had so much energy. Like, she's doing so great. It's great for everyone. And I was very surprised. I definitely think that my future is looking brighter. I think that I will be able to do the things that I wanted to do now. I was thinking the other day too, of something came up where the question was, if you died tomorrow, what would the biggest regret be of something you didn't do? And for me, I realized that now I am kind of already on the path to doing all the things that I want to do. I'm making everything happen. And I didn't really feel like I had any regrets of things that I didn't do or that I wasn't already working on doing. So I felt really good about that. And I definitely felt like my health and my improvement in my health was a huge part of that, because my health was the biggest stressor in my life. I'm not cured or anything, but I definitely feel like I am on the path to recovery and that I am equipped to continue on the path to recovery. I don't feel like, well, the program's over, so now it's over. I definitely feel like this is something that I can continue. And like I said earlier, my health care is now in my own hands. And so I feel like this will help me in the future as well. And even if, I move abroad and I end up having a hard time with the adjustment, like, I know what to do to, help myself and bring myself back up to where I was. I think that my mindset has changed in that sense of just having the knowledge gives me more confidence to be able to take care of myself, or to know that I'm going to be okay, versus before, if I can't walk around the block, like, there's nothing I can do. There was at one point I had bought a cane to use to walk around, and I pulled it out and I set it up and I put it down and I just cried because I was like, I I respect mobility aids, and I think that mobility aids are really helpful. But for me, I kind of felt like at that point I lost, and that this was kind of the point where I realized that, oh, like, I'm not getting better. Is it going to continue getting worse from here? How much am I going to have to rely on this mobility aid to get around? Like, it's so hard to balance, it's so hard to walk. So I felt so terrible having a mobility aid, which was the opposite of how I thought I was going to feel. And so I ended up returning it and then just not leaving the house instead of using the mobility aid. So, I mean, I do recommend mobility aids for people that need them, but and I did need one, but I felt so depressed about needing one, I guess, because, I'm 24, and, even doctors tell you, oh, you're too young to be feeling this way. And so they kind of use that to discredit your pain a lot of the time. So, and even just like other people in conversation, they discredit your pain a lot of the time, especially when you're younger. It just kind of felt like, well, if I have to use this, I don't want to be outside because I don't want people to question me. I don't want people to feel like they're entitled to my health story or, my medical history. I just kind of want to exist, and I didn't really feel like I could do that. And now I can go out more for longer periods of time. I can walk around this grocery store and, I'll be fine. So it's definitely kind of empowered me to kind of go back out into the world a little bit more, even though, we're with COVID, I haven't really been going anywhere except the grocery store. But, the grocery store has been a really difficult place for me to go because of just having to walk around. So even those little things and the little tasks that you do every day, like I vacuumed the other day and I cleaned our rug and I was fine for the rest of the day. I moved some furniture and, I didn't have to sleep the rest of the day. I wasn't out for the rest of the week because I did that, which is definitely something that would have happened before. It's definitely just kind of given me more time back to do things. And even if they're the smallest things that you don't think about, like cooking or wiping off a table or, setting up a pillow, those are all such small things. And then when they're taken away from you, you realize how important they are. So I can do all of those things now, but I appreciate them a little more than I think I would have if they weren't taken away.
Wow, what an amazing health transformation, Sam. It's been amazing to see you slowly and surely improve in all these different symptoms. You mentioned being independent and basically feeling empowered about your health now. And that's really the purpose of the program. The program is not intended to keep you on the protocol forever. The program is intended to teach you the tools that you have power over. And it may not be everything in your life, like your genes, for instance, right? But it is the things that you actually can do right now, today, that can help you, win tomorrow, basically. So you hit the nail on the head earlier when you mentioned the debilitating and very emotionally stressful thoughts that will go through somebody's mind when they are actually faced with using a cane, because it's very humanizing. And so, do you have any words of advice for somebody who is on the cusp of deciding whether they should do this or not, or somebody who's been suffering for such a long time and they're just frustrated? They're just at their breaking point. What should somebody like that do?
Yeah. I first want to say that there is no shame in using a cane if you need one. I had a personal experience that wasn't so great, but I definitely don't want to discourage people from using mobility aids if they need them. But if you are like a person with chronic pain or patient, I would definitely recommend doing this program because it will help you in the long term be able to take care of yourself. And I think that it's kind of like therapy in general, where you don't think you're getting better until one day you just kind of realize how far you've come. And I think that is the same thing that happened with this program, is that I didn't realize how much I was improving until, I had a little flare up in my arm. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I haven't felt this in so long. And so it's okay to be gentle with yourself on the way there. But I would definitely recommend doing this program to equip yourself with those tools and to be able to kind of move forward in your life on your own and not always have to rely on going and medication and going back to the doctor and having your doctor list and trying to advocate for yourself and going to this specialist. And, and it's never ending. But I think here is kind of like the end game. You can bring this back into your own hands and you can take care of yourself, and you are equipped and you are empowered to be able to address any problems that come up with yourself. And I think that it's really important to be able to acknowledge that, it's never going to be a miracle cure. It's always going to have to be something that you work for. And if you're like me, you probably have reached a breaking point, or you'll probably get there pretty soon. And, you'll do anything to change your life. And I thought it was going to be so much harder to do, honestly. I thought this program was going to be really difficult for me. I thought it was going to be very restrictive, but I didn't really feel that way. I didn't feel hungry. I didn't feel like I couldn't have the foods that I love. There are things that I've stepped back from for a while because I know that, my body is not ready for this yet, but my goal is to get there so I can have, that chicken shawarma sandwich and I'll be fine. And, I did have like a sandwich the other day and I was fine. So it's kind of being able to see like how everything affects you, having a new subconscious mind where it educates your decisions that you make in your life, where you know that you'll be better off for. So I think now the newest thing for me has been, how am I feeling today? What do I want for dinner? Am I feeling good enough to have this for dinner? And it's like, yeah, I've been feeling really good today. So I had, some sushi and I had some shrimp tempura. And sushi is, if you have like vegetable sushi and stuff, that's already fine on the program. So those are all things you can have. And I very much enjoy those sorts of things. But obviously shrimp tempura is something that is maybe discouraged a little bit more, but I don't think it's ever been discouraged to have something you enjoy once in a while, which has been really nice. So for people who are thinking about doing this or just are struggling, I want to reiterate, do this. Definitely join this program. Definitely do this work. I think it's really important to do this work because this is so much easier than struggling through every day. And I also want to say that to be gentle with yourself because, you don't know your body's limits. And while now my limits, have expanded where, I can do more than before, I think it's still important to be able to kind of treat yourself kindly and, work your way up there step by step rather than just trying to shoot up to the top. I think that's kind of like the biggest thing in this program is that it's paced to where it works kind of a little bit more realistically. And so I feel like, now I can start being more generally active in my life and I'm not going to hurt myself. Whereas before, I might have hurt myself. So just being gentle with yourself and not shaming yourself if you do need a mobility aid, or you do need, accessible options that maybe you wouldn't have needed before. I think it's really important to kind of keep that, advocation that you've gained. I think a lot of us have gained really strong advocating skills just from having to go to the doctor. So kind of being able to, move forward from the pain, but keep things that you use that empowered you before, because those tools are still going to be useful. You're still going to need to advocate for yourself and you're still going to need to advocate in a healthcare setting. So just be kind to yourself, keep what you've learned, and definitely do this program so that you can move forward from this dark time.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom and for being so thorough in this interview. We all appreciate it. Chris and I really, really enjoyed working with you, and we're looking forward to seeing what's next for you. We know that you have a lot of big plans ahead for you, and we're very excited for you. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you both so much too.